reality code. Shades on. The reality code. Shades on. Knowledge wisdom.
Well, hello, and welcome to The Real Deal with the Reality Coach. I tell you what, where we deal in real time, real talk, real issues. Today's show, we're going to talk about the importance of voting. We do know that we have an election coming up on March 5th. Now, this is a very important election. And y'all got these shades on and the hat on because I want you to see that a lot of these candidates come to you sparkling and they come at you with all of this glitter and glamour. But then when they get in the office, after you've selected them, they forget what they told you, and no longer do you see the glitter and the glamour. You see, we don't want to know what you see at that point in time. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about 4 things: who, what, why, and when. And I have, of course, my dear friend Reggie Ruffin, who I didn't know he would be able to make the show or not because he was taking care of some other pressing business. But as I can see, he is here. And then we also have civil attorney Nashay Foster coming on, who does a lot of things with the election process. She really studies it hard Reggie kind of knows it, but she really examines the election process. So as soon as she gets on, we'll bring her on. But anyway, let me get Reggie on here real quickly. Well, hello, sir. Didn't know you were going to be able to make it today.
Well, me neither, but as they say, you have to just keep pushing through. Some way, somehow, you make it happen, Captain.
Well, it seems like you're making it happen. You're making it happen. And I see Attorney Attorney Foster, let me just say that. I just like saying Attorney Nashay. I haven't heard that name. That just sounds so cool. But she is on here, so let me get her on here. Why am I so big? Why I gotta be big? Let me be little.
Your ego's
okay.
bigger,
there we go. That's a little better. My ego is not that bad, but it is.
I didn't say it was bad. I said it was big. There's
Whatever. Well, welcome, Attorney Foster. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. I'm fine. How are you?
There you go. Okay, now Reggie has joined us. And he is with Just Cause Coalition, where, of course, they fight for people's constitutional rights. He's an advocate. He does a whole lot of stuff in the community, which I'm sure you're familiar with him. Nonetheless, let me just give you a little bit about Attorney Nashay Foster. Duke University's bachelor's degree. Look. Okay. Wonderful. Congratulations. George Washington University Law School. And the JD stands for Juris
Doctorate. Yes.
Yes, there you go. Okay.
Juris Doctorate. I'm just a simple little country lawyer. That's it.
But hey, there's nothing wrong with you can still be you. Okay. Member of the State Bar of Texas, and you are a civil right attorney, commercial law, real estate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you both for being here. It is indeed a pleasure to always talk with wonderful people who can help educate and equip so we can eradicate some things. How about that? Let me just say, if you see me with these glasses on, I normally wear shades. Do you mind if I call you Nashay?
Nichelle, go right ahead.
Oh, Nichelle. I done renamed you Nichelle. Okay. I wear the shades because a lot of times people do not want to see the truth. But one thing I've known for a long time, you may not be able to see, you can ignore the truth sometimes by not seeing it, but because we got itchy ears, we love to hear gossip and we love to hear a lot of things. We're going to always hear something. So if you put the shades on and you don't want to see the truth, you're going to hear the truth. But when you really need to do both, see the truth and hear the truth, the shades come off because it's time to get real. So now here we go. Without further ado, we're going to get real. We're going to give you the real deal with Reggie Ruffin and Nichelle.
Thank you very much. No autographs, please.
Okay, now the first thing I want to ask you two is, when people are
Dorothy.
Reggie, I don't think he can hear you. Can you, Reggie? Can you hear?
Okay.
Nichelle?
I heard her say your name, but I didn't hear the whole thing.
Okay, she stepped away for a quick moment. Sometimes these internets. Okay, well, Reggie, while she's getting it back together, sometimes people, the first thing I want to ask is, how do people know who to vote for? How do you determine who to vote for?
A lot of times people just vote based upon the person's race, or rather not, or sometimes even by party. And a lot of times it's because other people say, well, hell, he's good, we'll vote for him. But no, people don't usually take the time to follow up on exactly what this person's qualifications are. And, definitely like tracing up their background. See, in today's world of social media, you can find out more about people. You can get better insight. But then, but a lot of times we vote based upon who we see on the news. That's another misnomer that we do, that we have to get away from, because we're in a world now, we don't have political advocates as far as our elected officials. We have political celebrities. Everybody's on there, if they're on TV all the time, and it's like people can now say or do anything they want, and the rule of opinion has now superseded the rule of law or the rule of clarifications or qualifications. These things are now have been diminished, and we're dangerously spiraling into a very uncharted territory as far as credibility.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Nichelle, I was asking Reggie the first question that I want people to understand is how, and he just gave a great synopsis of why he believes people vote for who they vote for. Either they vote for race because they're race, the mama said vote for them, or the next person saying they're good. A whole gamut of reasons other than doing research and studying the client and getting to know that person's background for yourself. So I'm going to ask you, since this is something that you do and you almost pretty much eat, breathe, and sleep this kind of stuff, because this is what you do for a living, how do people know who to vote for?
I mean, that's a very difficult question, asking about what level. Like, for example, right now we're going through what's called the primary season. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party are having their primaries. What does that mean? They are picking which horse to run in the general election. That's all it means. It means you can, as an individual in Texas, I'm only talking about Texas now, y'all. So Texas primary is going on. Early voting. The actual primary is Tuesday, March the 5th. But if you've already registered to vote, you don't have to register as either a Republican or a Democrat. We have what's called open primaries. Open, which means I can go in and say, for example, I want to vote for Democrat, figure out who should run as a Democrat. I don't care if it's for president. The races, the top of the ticket, obviously this year is the president. Joe Biden on the Democratic side, Donald Trump on the Republican side, more than likely. There are other parties. There's the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. Those are the two main um,
Can I ask you something?
alternative parties, I should say.
Can, can I ask you something
Sure.
right quick? Before we go to the big general election,
Sure.
how important is our local municipalities? How should we determine who to vote for in our local municipalities? How important is that?
That's a totally different thing.
Uh-oh, you're going in and out.
Right. Local elections in Texas are nonpartisan, and they will occur during the month of May. May, not November, not during March. We're not going to vote for mayors. We're not going to vote for the city council. We're not even going to vote for the school board. They intentionally divided it up. So basically, right now, what we will be voting for are federally. We'll vote for our senators. Ted Cruz is up for election. He's an incumbent for Texas. So we have 2 senators. Only one of them is up for re-election right now. But each and every member of the House of Representatives is up for re-election.
And appellate court
So
judges,
that is very important.
aren't judges up for elections
There are
as well?
several judges that are up. There are several judges that are up for re-election. But that will depend on what
Okay, well, Reggie, well, you and I both know that she's really given a thorough breakdown, but here's what I want people to understand. We're yes, she's talking about the general overall election, which is some good material,
Right.
great material. But here's the thing: we're impacted here in Dallas by who we put in these seats in Dallas, Texas, as far as judges, as far as well, our senator too, but he's on a higher, the senator will be on a higher level. But I'm talking about just the ones that we can really go and challenge them in person, face to face. Those are the people that I'm talking about. Nichelle, I was just telling Reggie that you're doing a thorough breakdown on the overall thing.
Now, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Or do I need to step out again?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yes, she is.
Okay. So what I was saying to Reggie is I want people to understand who they can do, like right now we have some very important judge seats coming up. We have our sheriffs coming up. We have so many important elections coming up right here that can impact us. We can go to our sheriff's department and challenge the sheriff. Look, this is what's going on. We can go down to the courthouses and look at these judges and say, look, this is what you said. So explain to people how important it is to make sure you put people in these seats that you can hold accountable, Reggie, if you will. Did you get to hear the question, Reggie?
Well, I'm trying to get away from this. There's a monitor behind me that's kind of. I know you hear it, but it's.
Oh, it's not intrusive.
All right. Well, so repeat the question again, please.
The question is, we have some very important seats coming up locally where we can go to the sheriff's office, to the courthouse to say, look, this is your platform. This is what you ran on. How important is it for us to put people, us here in Dallas County, to put people in these seats who say that they're going to do things that they're going to do for the people?
Well, it's very imperative because that's the one thing that we have to always count on, because we want to know that the people that we're having in office are going to follow their oath that they took. And a lot of people when they get in, making a point earlier, they'll tell you everything you want to hear to get in there. Then once they get in there, you can't hit them. You couldn't hit them with a heat-seeking missile if they were standing next to a campfire, because they all of a sudden they deviate, and now it's all about them and their personal gain, their personal notoriety, all their personal favor that they can garner from that seat. There's a lot of trouble and a lot of things that people go through to get these people elected, And then the worst betrayal is when they no longer representing the people they claim they're going to stand up for.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it,
and we have watched this over and over again. And now currently, like what I'm going to talk about today, if they allow me to, is talking about the lack of integrity we're dealing with now with the mayor and with the the city manager. Although the city manager is not an elected official, but maybe they need to come time. Maybe they need to become an elected official.
so for
You know,
those who don't know, what you're talking about with the mayor, give us a quick rundown on what you're speaking of.
all right, I'll be as professional as I can about it.
Thank you.
Eric Johnson was selected as mayor a little over 4 years ago, and he just came. He basically came in with that he was going to change Dallas. He was going to make Dallas a more affluent, more vibrant, more diverse city. And diversity and transparency is the two most abused words in politics today. Definitely they beat it to death here in Dallas all the time. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be about the Benjamins. All you're doing is you're facilitating money, and that's basically what their main jobs is, to facilitate money for the city. But and I will say this, for themselves as well, because
I mean, right now, the elections we're worrying about right now are not municipal. Right now, it's the county, the state, and the federal government. Sounds sad, but understand how things work. That we elect people from the House of Representatives. So each local area has a United States congressman that goes to DC, that their job as a congressman is to decide how your taxpayer money is spent. Then you have the county offices. You have things such as the county commissioner, the commissioner's court, the local county judge. He is the leader, so to speak, the mayor of Dallas County, Harris County, Tarrant County, whatever county you live within Texas. They're going to elect the sheriff, the county sheriff. They're going to elect the tax assessor, the person that decides what are your county taxes? What are your property taxes? These things are important. How do they assess the taxes on your property? Even if you are renting, it is going to determine how much your rent is going to increase, maybe decrease. It is things like how much are they going to charge you to pick up trash? Because there are local taxes set by the municipality that usually sanitation, water, that's not up for election right now. What we're worried now about is county, your roads, county roads, state highways. We're going to elect our local state reps to go down to Austin to decide how Texas is going to spend the money they collect from sales taxes, how they're going to spend the money they collect from local property taxes. You will also, in certain counties, have to elect the people that govern the community colleges. I mean, I was shocked to find out that I'm from Tarrant County originally. I live in Dallas County now. But I was surprised to find out Dallas County has its own police force. The community college has its own police force.
Mm-hmm.
They're their own government. They collect taxes independent of everybody else. So when you're trying to figure out who to vote for,
Mm-hmm.
you need to understand what is their mindset about spending other people's money, because they're trustees for your tax dollars.
Not only what is their mindset about spending other people's money, what is their mindset about how they treat other people?
That's part of it. You know, we vote with our pockets, so to speak. That at the end of the day, do you want money to go to illegal immigrants, or do you want money to go to veterans? Do you want a situation in which our roads are turned into toll roads and you got to pay to get on a freeway? Or do you want it to actually be a free way? Do you want the local roads to have drainage? A lot of these are county issues, and the county issues fall on the state of Texas. Now, if you're sitting up here wondering sometimes why it's so hard to get around Dallas, all these roads in Dallas are under construction. They were neglected for how many years? Because rich people could get on the tollway. They could just drive them down the tollway. The rest of us had to go out, John Carpenter Freeway, neglected. It's just a neglected freeway. 121. I'm from Tarrant County, so forgive me if I call out numbers. But y'all know 75 is a mess. It's a mess. 75 goes up and down, north to south in Dallas. It's just a parking lot during rush hour. Why? Because rich people go up and down the tollway.
So that would be okay. So the who, so I can make sure people understand the who. The who is break that specifically say who the who is. Now you
the who that we're voting for right now are our state representatives, our county representatives, and our federal representatives. Everybody except for one half of the Senate is up for re-election, or at least or should say 1/3. But in Texas, we have 2 senators. So Cornyn is not up for re-election, but Cruz is up for re-election. So when you go to the primary, you're trying to decide if you want the incumbent to go back on the main ticket, or do you want to challenge someone to challenge him? Now,
go ahead.
I'm going to say, like, for example, when you look at Joe Biden, no one's running against Joe Biden right now. So you don't have to rush out right now to go vote for Joe Biden. Donald Trump, nobody's of any merit is running against Donald Trump. So you really don't have to run out to the primary to vote for either of those people. But if you really want to get involved with politics, what is going on in this nation, not just 1 or 2 days out of the year. After you vote in the Texas primary, you go back to your precinct. Look on your voter registration card. There will be a 4-digit precinct number. And you might have to ask around a little bit, ask an election judge and say, where is this precinct meeting? Because early voting is at a whole bunch of different locations. But your precinct convention will start at 7 o'clock on March 5th. If you voted in the Republican primary, you will go to the Republican precinct convention. That's the number on your voter registration. If you voted in the Democratic primary, you'll go to the Democratic precinct. It'll be the number on your ticket. They're all meeting at 7 o'clock, but there'll be different locations. That when we had the primary for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, some of the Democratic precinct conventions did not end until after midnight. So I'm warning you, if you're going to go to a precinct convention, be prepared to stay there. Stay there. Talk about the platform. Talk about what you want. That's where your voice is heard.
That's where you get the what. That's where you get the what at, right?
That's where you get to sit down and say, these are the things that I want to see done. These are resolutions. I want you to resolve these problems, these issues. I want resolutions. That's what you bring with you. Write it out on a piece of paper. If you're worried about prison reform, then let's go to the precinct conventions and talk about local, you can have it on so many levels. The county jails. What do you want to see changed at the county jails? Well, how do you feel about bail? How do you want the bail system to work? Because this is when you give the elected leaders, their marching orders is through the precinct conventions. You run for the Senate district conventions, and then you run for the state conventions. There's a party platform for every party that they say, this is our overall goal. This is what the people who attended the precincts, who attended the Senate districts, who attended the state conventions or the national convention. Then let me tell you another reason why to go back to your precinct conventions. Everyone's talking about what the hell is the Electoral College? If you really want to be involved, you go to the Senate district so you can run to become an elector. You actually run for that office. You run to represent the Democratic Party or you run to represent the Republican Party. That at the end of the day, we do the popular vote. The popular vote determines which set of delegates get to go vote for the president. So if more Democrats come out and vote, then the Democrats get to send their slate of electors. If more Republicans come out to vote, then the Republicans get to send their electors. The electors are who elect the president. The popular vote only determines which set of electors gets to go vote. Now, if you want to become an elector, what do you have to do? You have to vote in the primary. Then you have to go back to the primary and let them know that you want to run for as an elector. Once you do that, then you have to go to the Senate district convention. And then you ask to, you literally go, you'll go through a process where there's a nomination committee. And it's like a job interview. You tell them why you want to go to the Senate district, the resolutions you want to support. I mean, it's this very simple thing, but it can be so life-altering. It can be so meaningful. Where this is where you get your voice. Where you learn to talk about the things that you want to see done. And I tell a lot of Black people, one of the reasons why the Republican Party has the type of platform it is because a lot of us don't show up. When people try to tell me, oh, I used to be a Democrat, now I'm a Republican. What does that mean to me? Are you on the ground? Are you knocking on doors trying to get people to vote? Then I don't really care. If you're a Democrat, I will knock on doors with you. I'll encourage people to come out and vote because that is our process. But when we sit down and we write our bylaws, so to speak, the resolutions for the Democrat or Republican Party, we need representation at that point. Not just waiting until election day. We show up and vote. I'm gonna vote for the Democrat. I'm gonna vote for the Republican. No, I need people that are sitting there at the precinct conventions, at the Senate district conventions, saying, okay, if we're going to work on inexpensive housing, what does that even mean? Affordable housing, what does that mean? Does that mean, someone gets a voucher for $1,300 a month if they got 5 kids? What's that going to do? But raise the cost of housing for everybody else. Because I think like a business person. I have a friend in Dallas. She has 50 Section 8 houses. 50. She's not going to rent to most people because the federal government promises her $1,300 to $1,500 a month for 11,000 square feet house. You get a front yard and a backyard, but it's a small house. If you want to come out of your own pocket and go get a nice apartment, like over in the Beckley area, that's $2,300 a month. But the people who have the Beckley apartments, they can charge $2,300 a month because, hey, who wants to pay $1,500 out of their own pocket to live in the hood?
Well, that's called the propaganda of good but bad improper business, for lack of a better way of saying that. I mean,
but that's where we are right now. We have to look at what are they going to spend their money on? As a
Reggie,
businesswoman, go ahead.
as a businesswoman.
As a businesswoman, the federal government is one of the most lucrative areas to go into. Providing goods and services for the federal government. The federal government's always buying something. They're buying everything from legal services to, believe it or not, rags, paper clips.
Wow.
You could go on to your local, you can go look and see what is the county buying. The county's buying dirt. You need dirt to help mix in with to fill in potholes in the county roads. It's crazy when I say you as an individual decide who you're going to elect to spend taxpayer money. If you're a business person, you need to sit up there and go, how are they going to buy from my business? If you're an employee, are they going to buy from my employer? If you work for the county government, am I going to get a raise? How is my retirement going to look?
Wow.
I mean, that's why I said it's so difficult to sit up there and honestly say, who do you vote for? How do you determine who to vote for? Think about your wallet. Think about your wallet.
Well, can't you also, well, in all fairness, can't you do some research? Can't you look back and see how they voted previously, what they've done beforehand? If they kept their word when they got it, if they kept their word on their first platform, you can go back and do some research yourself. You can look and see if they're an incumbent, go look at their track record. But a lot of times we don't want to do that.
I mean, going back and looking at their track record, obviously, if they are on the county side, it's a little bit harder. You don't know how the sheriff has actually voted on anything because he doesn't vote. The tax assessor, again, you don't really know what the tax assessor has done. So there are a lot of elected positions that don't necessarily vote because they're on the executive side. They just implement certain policies.
Well, I'm not saying necessarily what they voted on. What I'm saying is look at their
important. It's important if you are if you're wondering about our House of Representatives, the congressmen, their vote will be public. Their vote is public.
I understand, and that is perfect. What you're saying, that is absolutely correct. But what I'm saying, say for instance, the sheriff. There are situations where you can go back and look and see how the sheriff handled the situation. You can look and see if it was right or wrong, or in your opinion, whatever your opinion is about that circumstance. Or you can go back and look at, judges, look at how they rule. There are other ways.
Now that's harder. That one honestly is a lot harder because now, thanks to, I'm gonna be nice. Thanks to our state legislature and the Supreme Court of Texas, local district attorneys, local judges, district judges, and county judges, they just say granted or denied. They don't explain themselves anymore. They just say granted or denied. Now, if you want to pay your attorney the extra money to get findings of facts and conclusions of law, they're there. But in most counties, you have to pay, even as an individual, to see if there are any findings of fact or conclusions of law. You want to look up a judge on the internet? Again, good luck, because they have shielded the judges. They've given judges what they call judicial immunity, that now judges do not get to talk about how they have ruled in the past, how they plan to rule in the future. They just come out and say the same damn thing and don't mean a word of it. It is, I promise to follow the Constitution. I'm a lawyer. I promised that the day I swore into the state of Texas that I was going to follow the Constitution, both the Texas Constitution and the federal Constitution and all the laws. So for a judge to get up there and say, I'm going to follow the Constitution, that's your job.
That part.
That's your job. That part.
And another thing, well, see, this is where the public can start coming together. You start getting a lot of people who've gotten these rulings that are upside down, lopsided, and turned around, and you start coming together. The judge can't say that he didn't do it when I'm sitting here with this ruling.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you about my party right now. There's a judge named Bivens. He's currently a Texas Supreme Court judge. Currently, he's being challenged by a guy named Walker out of Tarrant County. The elected judge said he's tired of his colleagues ignoring the Constitution and paying attention to things like standing and other procedural things. So that just told me this fool does not know what the Constitution is about. Standing is a central component to the Constitution. But he don't know that. But he's sitting up there as a Texas Supreme Court judge because he ran as a Republican, and now he's turning against his Republican colleagues, saying all those other guys came from big law firms. I'm representing you regular people. Well, no, I don't want a regular, I don't want a doctor
Reggie,
operating on me.
She can barely hear you. That's why. What are you trying to say, Reggie?
No, I was just going to ask Nichelle this question about, is violation of oath of office, isn't that a civil crime?
It's an impeachable offense. Now, impeachment is not a criminal procedure. Impeachment just means you're kicked out of office. You're fired before your term ends. Right. Now, it's a two-part proceeding, as we saw with Ken Paxton. The House brings the indictment. They act like a grand jury, and then it's tried in the Senate. And obviously, Texas don't know what the hell they're doing. Neither does the federal government, because people don't get impeached very often. It's an old tool from the past, and unfortunately, there's too much honor among thieves. The politicians don't want to be impeached.
Like dishonor amongst thieves.
Yeah, that part.
Well, she meant honor because they're honorable to each other.
Yeah, not to us. But at the end of the day, when we get out and vote, it's a feel-good moment. But what we need to do is register to vote. Even if you haven't already registered for this primary process, you can participate with the Green Party. Theirs is March 15th. You can participate with the Libertarian Party or the American Party. There are other parties besides Democrats and Republicans, and they are running for state offices. They are running for federal offices.
So what would you say? What would you say to people who say, "What good does it do me to vote? They're going to do what they want to do."
Well, you're right. They are. But at the end of the day, if you don't try, you're going to fail. So when you show up and vote, there are things that go on in the political process that are very complicated. They look at undervotes. Like I go in all the time. I vote a Republican. And then I go, son, I don't like this particular Republican. I'm going to vote for every other office but this one. He gets what's called an undervote. So the next time that he's out trying to raise money, they're saying, you won, but you barely won. You had a lot of undervotes. People had a lack of confidence in you. And so that hurts their bottom line when it comes to campaign finance. And that's the other thing. A lot of people sit up there and think your vote is important. But as I said, your voice is only heard really and truly at the primary. Get involved with the primary process. Get on the state, let me see what they call it. Get on the executive committees. Democrats have an executive committee, just like the Republicans do. And guess what? They can recall politicians. They can censor politicians. That you don't have to go boycott and yell and scream. You can actually be a part of the Democratic Executive Committee for your county. So when somebody gets on your nerves and does not do what they said they were going to do when they were elected, you call a meeting and you get that person censored. So you can get them removed from office. Huh? Yes.
Okay.
What was your question, Reggie?
No, she answered it. I just said it's just like an intervention When
Right.
someone's getting a little too drunk on power, you do an intervention and try to sober them up.
But who
Right.
can you do that with? Are there only certain people you can do that with, or you can do it with every elected official?
Yeah, like I wanted to know, like how
If
you
they
handle
are elected
mayors and judges.
by, right, if they're elected by a party, the party controls the people that sit in that seat. So when you hear about a recall election, it is that party that has initiated the recall. It's very hard to do in Texas, but if you get involved with the Democratic Party and you get involved with the Democratic or Republican Party by participating in the precinct conventions, all the little clubs are cute. They'll work you to death if you join the clubs. But if you really want to make a difference, strive to get elected as an elector or one on the executive committee for your county. It's a totally different ball game when you actually get involved with the party functionary itself. And I was surprised because I was sitting up there going, okay, let's do the Texas 2 steps. Everybody go back to your precinct convention. People looked at me and said, you Republicans do it. If the Democrats did it, Royce would have told you. Why would Royce West want most of his constituents to know that they have a way to remove him from office if he doesn't do what he promised to do? No one's going to run against Royce West. Royce West has so much money coming in so many different ways that you would probably spend about $80,000 to get a job that only pays $40,000 every 2 years. I'm just telling you what's going on.
That's something to think about. You know, because
I mean, a lot of jobs are about the power and not the money.
Right. Because I tell people all the time, why do you think a person going to sit up here and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to get a job that only pays $75,000, $80,000 a year unless they plan on taking something back with interest?
Hello?
So that's always been a math quiz that I was always good at answering.
I mean, let's look at Eddie Bernice Johnson. She represented the poorest districts in Dallas. She started out as a nurse. Back then, nurses made $30,000 to $40,000, same amount of money as a teacher. Did she retire from office a multimillionaire? Yes, she did.
Mm-hmm.
How so?
Absolutely.
Information is key. They're voting on how to spend taxpayer money. What did I say? The federal government buys a lot of stuff. When you're in office, you know what the federal government's getting ready to buy because you done just voted on what they're going to buy. So you have a lot of people who come into office with the idea of, let me tell my cousin to start a dust cloth factory. We're just going to make dust cloths because we know the federal government has a lot of furniture that needs to be dusted. That's simple.
Wow. So the when you vote for certain people, and I just don't. My thing is that bothers me the most is these people get in these seats and they take all these under table deals. They do all of this stuff to fatten their own pockets and do what they do for themselves. But you're supposed to be there for the people. That's not right. And I don't know how we can fix this. How can we fix this? Is there a solution?
It's a chess game. It's not checkers, it's a chess game. That at one point in time, all the judges had to report, even federal judges, they had to report where, their money was coming from. Well, now, if you want to view their reports, you have to say who you are, where you live, and why you asking.
Right.
That's intimidation.
Why do we have to go? How can we eliminate that? What can we do as voters? We have a right. We're putting you in these seats. We have that right.
Well, at one point in time, we have to decide, it's kind of funny to me because I'm a limited government girl, and I don't understand how people that supposedly believe in limited government, support the police. They say, "Oh, the police are not part of government.
Yeah,
They're part of the municipal government." Oh, but I forgot that on my side, they have people convinced that all politics is local, but then they make sure that all the local races are nonpartisan. Hello. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Democrats are known for supposedly supporting the poor. Right now, we just got 10 million unemployed people that snuck across the border. And what are they doing? Where are they dumping them? In poor neighborhoods. They're displacing poor Americans for poor foreigners. Why? Because we wanted $16 an hour. We wanted $20 an hour. The job creators don't want to pay that. I don't care. We make it seem like Black people are not entrepreneurs. We are. We are the most entrepreneurial people around. The problem is, do we create jobs? So many Black people go in and they start a business and they hire themselves out, maybe, their wife, their husband, maybe their kids. But are they sitting up there employing their neighbors? Are they employing 20 other people? We will work 24 hours a day ourselves in our own business as opposed to hiring somebody to work part-time because we don't want to deal with the red tape, the hassle, the liability, etc.
What can we afford to, though? That's the whole thing, too. Everything is not as affordable for some people.
And that's true. That's why, again, I sit and laugh because people tend to think that all Black people are going to be upset about people that will accept less than $16 an hour to work. I'm not mad. At the end of the day, I need my yard cut. I'm going to go with the person that gives me the best rate. I'm not going to ask to see if they're an American or not. I would prefer an American, but if somebody comes to my yard and says, "Oh, you got a big yard. It's going to be $75." Okay, bye. I'm going to pick the person that's going to charge me $25. I'm being honest.
And that's true. And here's the thing. What seems to me is us Americans, we've got to figure out a way to come together to eliminate some of this kind of this dichotomy of things that's going on. Something has to change.
Well, that's one of the reasons why you look at how they want to spend money. If they want to spend money backing small businesses, and you are a small business owner, that's who you vote for. You sit back and look. If they are saying, "No, what we're going to do is we're going to increase spending on Section 8. We're going to increase spending on food stamps." Then if you are a business person, you better go try to open up some type of restaurant. Be inventive. One of my favorite places is over in Arlington. It accepts food stamps. You buy the raw chicken with your food stamps and they cook it for free because you can't buy cooked food with food stamps, but you can buy raw food and they can cook it for you for free. So of course, these people are going to vote for the Democrats because they are making money off of stupid people. I mean, I'm just being honest. That if you are on the Republican side and you're like, "Oh, I don't believe in, I believe in a voucher program for schools," then your ass need to go out and start a charter school.
Well, that's one way of putting it.
Simple as that.
I mean,
so what would you say to these people that's doing all these nonprofits? Is that
okay? Nonprofit means you are not doing it to make money. You're not. That's the whole goal. When you first came out, you said, I'm going to pay myself a reasonable salary, but really and truly, most of the money, 80% of the money is going to go to buying stuff for people who can't afford it. Okay, happy birthday, Merry Christmas. The best thing about having a nonprofit is that you can accept donations. But you're supposed to be nonpartisan. You're supposed to educate people about particular causes, and you're supposed to spend that money helping other people. And most of these nonprofits, take for example, TD Jakes runs a nonprofit. And we all see that God is good when you're running a nonprofit. Joel Osteen. I mean, God blessed him with all those, what is it? A $360,000 car, but he can't let homeless people come into his church. I mean, you have to see past some of the bullshit. Most of these pastors, if they did not have a tax exempt status, they would not be preaching.
That's for sure.
Well,
and then a lot of them use that status to stick their hands into other people's fingers and other people's wells and draw out of that. Some of them get nice contributions from the city because they don't have to report it. So
yeah, there are all kind of grants out there. There are grants. Right. They're from foundations or from the government itself. I mean, if you want to be a nonprofit, happy birthday, Merry Christmas. It beats a 9-to-5 most times. But are you really out there helping people? I just got tuned into this phenomenon called The Beast. He is a reality show guy who goes around with corporate sponsors and gives away money to the poor. He has corporate sponsors that he says, I want to go out and feed the poor. I want to help Walmart. It's like, okay, if you find a homeless person out there, you can come to Walmart and we'll give you the tents. We'll give you some shoes for the homeless people. You go out and physically identify people that need help. He's making money doing that. He's not calling himself a nonprofit, but he is doing a charitable thing. So sometimes you got to catch up with modern day technology.
Okay, well, we got about 8 minutes, so I'm going to give each one of you all a time. Okay, Nichelle, again, I'm sorry with your name.
I'll go last.
Okay.
I'll go after Reggie. I'll go after Reggie.
Okay, Reggie, tell us who, what, why, and when in less than 2 minutes, who to vote for, what to vote for, why vote for them, and when.
Well, as far as the who, what, whom, and when, that's so subjective right now but I will say this. I know 3 judges that I know should not be holding office because of the way they do underhanded tactics. Well, actually 4. It's Judge Gina Slaughter, and it's Judge I said Judge Bill Peterson, Judge Bonnie Goldstein, and Robbie Partita Kipnis.
Do they have an opponent in the primary?
I think only maybe 1 or 2 of them have an opponent. But
Bonnie Goldstein is not up for Bonnie Goldstein is not up. She's not up for re-election.
Well, whenever she's up for re-election, she needs to be deselected.
The only one that I know that in the district, in the court that you're talking about, in the appellate process, is Corey Carlisle. He's the only judge that's up for re-election.
Well, I believe that I believe that Kim Cooks is running against Bill Peterson.
No, Kim Cooks is running against Corey Carlisle.
Oh, okay.
Why? I don't know, because I'm not sure if she has appellate experience or not. So you all,
I've heard of.
That's another thing. You have to make sure that these candidates, when they go and they run for these seats, they have some experience in this. I mean, you just can't just the 5th Court of Appeals is one of the highest courts that we have here in Dallas. And then you just run and go and want to sit in that seat. I'm going to need you to have some type of something.
It's called integrity, but that seems to be a very, it's a hard
thing.
Oh,
we don't even use that word. What is that word?
Integrity. It seems like integrity is a lost form.
Integrity.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And
Okay. So
like,
you okay, the who, you said the who, make sure you know who you're voting for, do your work, you do your research on what they stand for, right? And
yeah,
then why you want them in that seat and
you
when
want
you want them to take that seat.
you you want them in the seat to do their job, and they're supposed to be doing and ruling everything according to law, fair, equal, and impartial. And but unfortunately, if you're a poor person and you have to go in there and have to deal with them, they'll cut you off at the knees, even if especially if you're right, because then they're
Wow.
gonna tell you you need to go get a lawyer, and then guess what? Everybody can't afford an attorney.
Now
That's
wait a
and
minute, Michelle, have you ever heard of someone being on a direct appeal for almost 2 years?
Yes, and it's sad, but yes. The appellate courts are backed up,
Oh,
especially
okay.
in Texas. They're backed up. Um, how do you say you can't rush? You can't rush love. That's what they.
Okay. All right. Well, that's another subject for another day. Let's get back. Let's stay on course because that was just a side note for me. I was just curious.
well,
Okay.
no, no. What you just said, can't hurry justice. You just gotta wait. That's what you're trying to say.
All
To
right.
add lib to
Perfect.
the song.
All right. Perfect. 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 Okay, Nichelle, we got 4 minutes, and I want you to give us the who, what, why, and when.
Okay, I'm going to try to. Hopefully, y'all can see my computer screen right now.
Okay, we can.
Okay, this is Texas elections 2024.
Okay.
We're going to be the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House.
I'm going to remove me from the screen so it'll make your screen bigger.
Okay. Okay, we are not doing any Congress, governor, other state executive officers. We are going to be looking at people like Ken Paxton. We're going to be looking at the state Senate, like Royce West is up for re-election. We're going to look at the state House. Now, there are a lot of different, depending on whether or not you're in Dallas County or Harris County, who is going to be in the state House. There's some special state legislatures that are coming up. State Supreme Court. Yes. There are 5 total judges up for re-election. There's 1 Texas Supreme Court judge and 3 on the Criminal Court of Appeals. Texas Supreme Court only handles civil cases. The Texas Criminal Court is not an intermediate court of appeals. It's your last stop. Now you'll have judges running in. I don't see anything in the second district. That's Tarrant County and Parker County. Dallas, it has the 5th district. There's only 1 contested race I know of. And
what is that contested race?
The one
Carlisle and Cooks?
Yes, the one you were talking about. So the 5th district covers more than just Dallas County. It also, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's appeals from several different counties. And I'd have to look it up to tell you exactly who outside of Dallas. But it's like Collin County comes up to the 5th circuit, 5th district. So you have Denton County comes up to the 5th district. So those are very important courts. And Texas is about to, they just launched a whole new business court. Lawyers don't even really know how it's going to work yet. They just sent out some proposed rules, the beginning of February. So, rules have to be bent and challenged before we know how they actually going to work. So it's a lot going on in Texas. So as I said, how do you know who to vote for? Well, 1, you need to go to Ballotpedia. When you go to Ballotpedia, it's going to sit up there and tell you who all is running. Like, for example, I'm trying to do it so you can see. The State Board of Education. If you want our little black kids to learn about real history, these are the people that buy the books. These people that are running up. Stacey Childs, District 4. Does anybody know who she is? Does anybody? I'm just going down this.
No, I
Down
don't.
Nope.
I
Never
just
looked
heard.
at
I
it.
just heard her lately, like on the radio. That's about all I know.
Okay. District 13. Here we are in the Dallas area. District 12. George King. Never heard of him. Pam Little. Do you see anybody on the Democratic side? Oh, here she is, Morgan Kirkpatrick. She's going to be running to represent District 15. They are going to determine what books are going to be available for our school districts.
Well, we are
What is the Texas curriculum going to be? And right now,
we're out of time. Goodness.
Early voting is until March 1st. Early voting is until March 1st. And then election day for the primary is March 5th. Polls will close at 7 p.m. sharp. And you need to go back for the precinct convention March 5th.
Well, thank you, dear. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Attorney Nichelle Foster. I appreciate you all very much. This is very enriching, and I cannot wait to do some other shows with you because you two are very intelligent, and I like that. And it makes me look smart.
Go vote.
It makes the hour go by easier.
Yes, it does. All right. Until next time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
There she goes, there she goes. The reality leaving truth, knowledge, wisdom. Shades on. There she goes, there she goes. The reality leaving truth, knowledge, wisdom. Shades on. There she goes, there she goes. The reality leaving truth, knowledge, wisdom. Shades on. The reality comes.